Luke Morgan sat alone in the dim light of the control room aboard the Raven's wing. It was an old salvage ship, patched more times than counted, drifting near the edge of known space. He stared at the screen in front of him. A signal had come. Through. Weak, but clear. It pulsed like a heartbeat in the void. He tapped his fingers on the console. The others were asleep or off duty. Most didn't care about strange signals out here. They were just looking to finish their shift and get paid. Luke wasn't like that. He liked to know things. He liked to understand what was out there. Debbie Lang, the captain, walked in with her usual slow steps. She looked tired, like always. "You still up?" she asked, leaning against the wall. "Found something?" Luke said, pointing at the screen. "It's not from any human station." She frowned and stepped closer. "Could be junk, could be nothing. Or it could be real," he said. Debbie sighed. She tapped her comm. "Hey Dan, get up here. We've got a possible." Within minutes, Dan Walker came in, rubbing his eyes. He was one of the younger crew members, always half awake unless something loud happened. "What's going on?" he asked. Luke explained. The signal was repeating every few seconds. It wasn't random. It was structured, maybe even a call for help. Debbie thought for a moment. "We go take a look, but we're cautious. This part of space doesn't owe us anything." The Raven's wing turned slowly in the dark. Engines hummed low as they moved toward the source of the signal. Hours passed. Then they saw it. A ship floated in the distance. It was massive, broken. "Alien. Looks dead," Dan said. "Doesn't mean it's safe," Debbie replied. "They sent drones forward. Sensors picked up weak power readings. Some systems were still running. No movement detected." "We should send a team," Luke said. Debbie shook her head. "Not yet. Let's watch it, for a while." But before anyone could say more, the alien ship lit up. Bright red pulses fired out. Not bullets, not beams, something else. The Raven's wing shuddered. Alarms blared. Fire burst from the engine bay. The lights flickered and died. Then came the silence. Luke woke up later. How much later? He didn't know. The air smelled burnt. The room was dark, lit only by sparks falling from the ceiling. He stood up slowly. His ears rang. He looked around. The others were down, not moving. He tried to speak into the comms. Nothing. Just static. Outside the viewports, the alien ship was gone. So were parts of their own ship. Luke stumbled through the halls. Smoke filled the air. Bodies lay where they fell. No signs of the aliens. No signs of life. Just fire, silence, and sleep. And now, he was alone. Luke moved through the ship like a ghost. The halls were dark and hot. Smoke curled along the walls. He stepped over bodies without looking down. He couldn't. Not yet. He made his way to the captain's quarters. Maybe Debbie was still alive. Maybe she had answers. The door was stuck. He pushed hard and it groaned open. Inside, Debbie sat slumped over her desk. Her eyes were open but saw nothing. Luke reached out, touched her shoulder. She didn't move. He swallowed hard. His hands shook. He checked the comm unit on the wall. Dead. No power. He needed to get to the escape pod bay. If any of them still worked, he could leave this place. As he walked, he passed the mess hall. Dan was there. Or what was left of him. Luke turned away fast. He breathed deep. Tried not to throw up. He found one working escape pod near the back. Barely. Its hatch was dented, but he forced it open. Inside it was small but clean. Oxygen, food, water. Enough for weeks. He climbed in, closed the door, hit the launch button. With a loud hiss and a jolt, the pod shot free from the Raven's wing. Luke watched through the tiny window as the ship grew smaller behind him. Fire still burned along its side. Then it vanished into the black. He was alone now, floating in space. Days passed, maybe more. Time was hard to track. He used the pod's systems to send a distress call, Again and again, no reply. Then one day the pod's screen blinked. A message came through. Incoming vessel detected. Luke looked outside. A large ship was approaching. Human, navy blue with white markings. Help. The pod was pulled inside the ship. Hours later, Luke stood in a cold medical room. Doctors in masks asked questions. He answered slowly. They didn't believe him at first. He told them about the signal, the alien ship, the fire, the silence. They gave him food, a bed, clothes that fit, but something was wrong. People looked at him like he was strange, like he didn't belong. He asked about his family. No one knew who he was. His records? Gone. His name? Not in their system. Weeks passed. Months. He learned the truth, slowly. He had been gone for 2 years. He remembered only days. His body had aged normally, but his mind had not. Something was wrong with him. And sometimes, when he slept, he dreamed of fire, of silence, of sleep, and of screams. His own. Luke stayed in the hospital for weeks. Doctors ran tests. They asked questions over and over. He told them everything he could remember. They didn't believe him. Not really. He wasn't sick, they said. But something was wrong. His body was fine. His mind was not. They gave him a room, food, clothes, but no freedom. One night, he left. He walked out while the guards were distracted. It wasn't hard. He had done it before. He knew how to disappear. He wanted to go home. But when he got there, nothing was the same. The house still stood, but new people lived inside. They didn't know him. They looked at him like he was a stranger. He asked about his sister, Ellie. They said she moved away years ago. He went to old places, friends' homes, work. No one remembered him. It was like he never existed. Luke started sleeping in parks, eating from trash bins. He tried to find work. No one hired him. Without papers, he was invisible. One day he saw a news screen in a bus station. Scientists warn of unknown alien presence in deep space. There was a picture of a broken ship. It looked like the one he saw. He read more. Other ships had gone missing. Some came back empty. Others had survivors. But none were the same. He began to watch the news every day. He read online. He found secret forums where people talked about strange things, missing time, lost memories, dreams of fire. He saw patterns, fire first, then silence, then sleep, and then death. He started having blackouts. He would wake up in strange places. Once in the woods, once on a train headed west, once covered in dirt and blood. He didn't remember what happened. He began to fear himself. One night, he dreamed of a voice. Not human. Soft and cold. You are not alone. He woke up screaming. He packed what little he had and left town. He needed answers. He needed to find someone who would listen, someone who knew what had happened to him. Because if he didn't, he was afraid of what he might do next. And he was starting to think the worst part wasn't what the aliens did to him. It was what he might do to the people he loved. Luke walked for days. He followed roads that led nowhere, slept under trees, ate what he could find. He kept moving because stopping made the dreams come back. He found a small town near the mountains. It was quiet. People didn't ask questions. He got work fixing old cars at a junkyard, paid in cash. No papers needed. He thought maybe he could stay there, forget everything, live like a normal man. But the dreams wouldn't let him. Each night, he saw the same things: fire, silence, sleep. Sometimes he heard voices. Not loud, just whispers. They called his name, told him to remember. One morning, he woke up outside, miles from town. His hands were dirty, his clothes torn. He didn't know how he got there. He looked down and saw something on the ground, a broken watch. Cracked glass. Familiar engraving. It was Dan's. Dan Walker, from the Raven's Wing. Luke backed away, heart pounding. He started running, back to town, back to the junkyard. He packed his few things and left. He couldn't stay. Not anymore. He needed help. He remembered Ellie, his sister. She was the only one who might still care. He found her number in an old phone book. It still worked. He called. She answered. Her voice sounded older, tired, but it was hers. Hello? Ellie, he said. It's me. There was a long pause. Luke, she whispered. You're not real. I am, he said. I need to see you. No, she said. You died out there. He swallowed hard. I didn't. I'm coming. He took a bus across the state. Every mile felt heavier. He didn't know what she would think when she saw him. When he arrived, she opened the door slowly, her eyes filled with fear. Behind her stood a man, tall, strong, her husband Carl. They didn't invite him in. He told them everything, about the ship, the aliens, the fire, the silence, the sleep. They didn't believe him. Not at first, but then he showed them the nightmares, the blackouts, the way he woke, up far from home. Slowly they began to understand. They let him stay. For a little while. But late one night, Ellie woke to screaming. She ran to Luke's room. The door was open. Carl was on the floor. Blood everywhere. Luke was gone, and all she could hear was the echo of a whisper in her head. Fire, sleep, and now, death. Luke woke up in a ditch by the side of a lonely road. His head pounded. His hands were scraped and bloody. He didn't remember how he got there. He looked down at himself. Dirt. Blood. Not all of it was his. His stomach turned. He had done something bad. Again. He remembered flashes. Ellie's face. Carl standing in front of her. Then pain. Loud noise. Screams. Luke ran. He didn't know where he was going. Just away. He found an old gas station and used the bathroom mirror to clean up. His face looked tired. Haunted. He saw a small TV on the counter. Local news. Local man missing after attack. The voice said. Wife says attacker was her long-lost brother. A picture came on screen. His picture. He turned off the TV and left fast. He couldn't go back. He needed answers. He remembered something from the junkyard. While working on broken cars, he had seen a poster on the wall. It showed a map with red dots, places where strange things had happened. People disappearing, others returning. Changed. Under the map were words. They come. They test. They return. He had thought it was nonsense. Now he wasn't so sure. He followed the trail of red dots online. They led to a town called Ridgewood, deep in the mountains, far from everything. He hitchhiked most of the way, slept under bridges, ate when he could. When he arrived, Ridgewood looked empty. Too quiet. He walked through the streets until he saw someone, an old man sitting on a porch. You looking for something? The man asked. Luke nodded. The truth. The man stared at him for a long time. Then he pointed to a building at the edge of town. Big, old, windows broken. Start there. Luke went inside. It was filled with papers, maps, photos, names, all about people like him. People who had come back from space and weren't the same. He read reports, logs, stories of fire, silence, sleep, and then destruction. He found a name. That made him stop. Dan Walker, his friend, his crewmate. Not dead, just changed. Like Luke, only Dan hadn't stopped. He had kept going. Killing. Luke dropped the paper. He realized something awful. He wasn't sick, he wasn't crazy, he was a weapon, and someone had turned him on. Luke sat on the dusty floor of the old building, papers scattered around him like fallen leaves. His hands shook as he read more about Dan Walker, about what he had done after returning from space. Dan had gone home, just like Luke. And then he hurt someone. Then more. He didn't remember it. Not at first. But the damage was real. Luke read other stories too. People who came back from alien encounters. They all followed the same path. Fire, sleep, then death. But why? He kept looking through the files until he found something else. A report from a secret group. Government, or maybe not. Hard to tell. The report said the aliens weren't trying to kill humans. They were testing them, implanting something inside their minds. A trigger, something that made them go home, made them act normal, until the trigger pulled. Then they became weapons. Luke stood up slowly. He wasn't going crazy. He wasn't losing his mind. Someone had turned him on. And if they could do it to him, they could do it to others. He needed to find out how deep this went. He packed some papers and left the building. The old man on the porch was gone. The town stayed quiet. Luke walked until he found a road, caught a ride west. He remembered something from the files. Coordinates, numbers pointing to a place hidden under mountains, a base where the government studied returnees. People like him. He had to get there. He rode buses, hitchhiked, slept in fields. Weeks passed. Finally, he reached the mountains. The base was buried, underground, camouflaged, guarded. He couldn't just walk in. So he waited, watched, learned the guards' patterns. One night, he slipped past the fence. He got inside through an old maintenance tunnel. Inside it was cold. Bright lights hummed overhead. Walls were metal. Smelled like chemicals and fear. He found a lab filled with screens. Videos played on loop. People strapped to chairs. Screaming. Crying. They were testing the triggers. Trying to control the returnees. Turning them into soldiers. Luke watched one video closely. It was Dan, eyes wide, mouth moving, saying one thing over and over. I don't want to hurt anyone. Luke clenched his fists. He had to stop this, not just for himself, for everyone like him. He moved deeper into the base, ready to fight, ready to end it. Luke moved through the cold halls of the underground base. Every step echoed like a heartbeat. He passed empty rooms, broken screens, and blood-stained floors. Someone had tried to clean up, but they hadn't done a good job. He found a door marked Containment. It was locked, but not tight. He forced it open. Inside were cages, small, metal, and lined with wires. People sat inside. Some stared at the walls. Others rocked back and forth. They looked like ghosts. One of them turned to him. You're like us, the man whispered. Luke nodded. He was. He found a control panel nearby. Pressed a button. The door slid open. The people didn't run. They just looked at him. You have to leave, he said, before they come back. They stood slowly, walked out like sleepwalkers. Luke kept going. Deeper into the base. He found what he was looking for. Files, data, logs, everything about how the aliens worked, how they planted something inside the returnees, how the government had learned to control it. They weren't trying to help. They were building soldiers. Luke took what he could carry. Then he set the charges. He had seen enough. He wasn't a weapon. Not anymore. When the explosions came, the mountain shook. Smoke rose from hidden vents. Alarms screamed into silence. Luke ran, barely made it out before the whole place collapsed. He walked for days after that. No map. No plan. Just forward. He thought about Ellie. About Carl. About what he had done. He couldn't go back. But maybe, somewhere out there, others like him were waking up. People who needed to know the truth. He started writing letters, journals, messages online, warning anyone who would listen. He told them not to trust the stories, not to believe the tests. The government wasn't saving them. It was using them. Months passed. One day, he saw a message on an old computer in a library. Someone had responded. Name, Sam, another returnee. He had read Luke's words, and he hadn't hurt anyone. Luke smiled for the first time in a long time. Maybe he couldn't undo what he had done, but maybe he could stop it from happening again. He closed the laptop, stood up and walked toward the next town, still searching, still running, but no longer alone.